For half a century, one woman lived two completely different lives. The one everyone saw was a respected physician and celebrated humanitarian, a force for good. But she held a secret, a truth locked away since childhood, that she was the product of one of the most disturbing secret experiments ever conducted by the US government. This is the almost unbelievable story of Dr. Juliet Engel, a woman who says she was a child victim of the CIA's MKUltra program. Her story forces us to ask, what happens when the truth is so horrific, it's nearly impossible to prove? Picture a successful doctor, a radiologist with a thriving practice, a family, and a life built on science and healing. That was the life Dr. Juliet Engel had carefully built for herself in Bellevue, Washington. By all accounts, she was a pillar of her community. But behind that success, a completely different story was waiting to be remembered. A story that didn't start in medical school, but in the dark corridors of the Cold War. After decades of silence, Engel came forward with a claim that is staggering. She announced that she spent her childhood as a test subject in the CIA's infamous mind control program MKUltra and an alleged sub-project called Monarch. According to her testimony, she was born in 1949 to a family with deep ties to US intelligence. She alleges that at just 6 years old, her own father sold her into the program. For the next decade, she says, her life wasn't her own. It belonged to the architects of a secret war on the human mind. To even begin to understand her story, you have to go back in time. The 1950s and 60s were gripped by Cold War paranoia. The CIA was obsessed with the idea of brainwashing, terrified that the Soviets, Chinese, and North Koreans were using it on American prisoners of war. Their answer was Project MKUltra. Launched officially in 1953, MKUltra was a top-secret and illegal program that operated outside of any legal or ethical lines. Its goal was to develop techniques to control human behavior. The agency funded research at universities, hospitals, and even prisons, conducting experiments on hundreds of unwitting American citizens. They used hypnosis, sensory deprivation, psychological torture, and a frightening mix of drugs, most famously LSD. MKUltra was a documented reality, exposed in the 1970s by congressional investigations like the Church Committee. The project was officially stopped in 1973, but its secrets were scattered when the CIA director ordered most records to be destroyed, leaving behind a legacy of ruined lives and unanswered questions. It's inside this documented historical horror that Dr. Engel places her own story. In her book Sparky Surviving Sex Magic, she describes an upbringing that sounds like a living nightmare. She claims that at age 10, she was chosen for her intelligence and looks and pushed into specialized sex magic training. She describes enduring unimaginable physical, mental, and sexual abuse torture that was systematically designed to do one thing: fracture her mind into multiple identities, turning her into the perfect, programmable, and untraceable asset. Her account continues with claims of being trained as a teenager at prestigious institutions like the Stanford Research Institute and the Hoover Institution. The curriculum, she alleges, wasn't history and math, but seduction, physics, cybernetics, and even genocide, all to prepare her for a future as an undercover operative. Then, at 17, she says she escaped the program with almost no conscious memory of the past 11 years of her life. But this is where an already dark story gets profoundly complicated. The CIA's MKUltra program was horrifyingly real. Its abuses are a matter of public record. However, Project Monarch, the specific sub-project Engel names, remains an unproven conspiracy theory that has never been confirmed by declassified government documents. On top of that, the evidence for Engel's personal story is elusive. Her book, Sparky, was published by a small press and doesn't appear in most mainstream bibliographic databases, although it is available for purchase. Her claims of being sold by her father, the sex magic training, and the abuse at Stanford all come from her own testimony. This creates an uncomfortable situation. Skeptics argue that these graphic, unverifiable details could be seen as exploiting a real historical tragedy. Believers argue this lack of proof is the very point of a program designed to be secret, one that specialized in destroying records and erasing memories. Her story exists in this gray area between documented history and uncorroborated personal trauma. With her past allegedly wiped clean, Juliet Engel did what any survivor would. She built a new life from nothing. She poured herself into her education, attending the University of Washington for both her undergraduate degree and medical school. She became a physician, a wife, and a mother. She achieved the American dream, all while the biggest parts of her own story were a complete black hole. But the silence couldn't last. Engel says the walls she'd built around her past began to crumble when her daughter was born. The experience triggered flashes of her own childhood, kicking off a slow, painful, and terrifying process of recovering her memory. For years, she worked to piece together the fragments of a past the program had tried to bury forever. It was a journey that would ultimately lead her to a new purpose, far from her quiet medical practice. This story brings up so many challenging questions about trauma, memory, and belief. It forces us to confront what we accept as truth and how we treat survivors whose trauma was deliberately designed to be unbelievable. What are your thoughts on this intersection of documented history and personal testimony? Let us know in the comments below. In 1990, in what can only be described as a radical life change, Engel says she sold her medical practice and moved to Moscow. There, amid the chaos of the collapsing Soviet Union, she founded the Angel Coalition, an underground railroad dedicated to rescuing women and children from the explosion of human trafficking. According to her account, this network grew to connect villagers, police, teachers, and officials, creating a web of safety for the most vulnerable. She claims her organization ultimately assisted tens of thousands of people across the region. She also reportedly co-founded other organizations, like Women and Children First and the Babushka Brigade, to combat exploitation. For this work, her biography states she received the University of Washington School of Medicine's prestigious Humanitarian Award in 2013. However, much like her childhood story, independent public records for the Angel Coalition and its specific achievements are sparse, and lists of the university's humanitarian award recipients for that period are not easily found, adding another layer of complexity to her incredible narrative. Today, Dr. Engel has channeled her life's experiences into public advocacy. Through her organization, Angels Over America, she works to raise awareness about missing children in the United States and the realities of human trafficking. She has appeared on numerous podcasts and at lectures, sharing her story. Her core message is a chilling one. She draws a direct line from the trauma-based mind control techniques she allegedly endured in MKUltra to the psychological tactics used by traffickers today. In her view, the goal is identical: to break down a person's identity, to control them completely, and to make them a disposable tool for someone else's purpose. She argues that the secret science of mind control didn't just disappear, it filtered down into the darkest corners of the criminal underworld. So, where does this leave us with the story of Dr. Juliet Engel? Her narrative is filled with claims that are both extraordinary and, for many, beyond belief. It pushes right up against the limits of what we can prove. We are left with the story of a woman whose public life as a physician and humanitarian is in complete opposition to the secret life of abuse she describes. Whether every detail of her account is factually accurate, or a narrative constructed to make sense of deep trauma, is a question that may never be answered. But her story forces us to look at truths we can't deny. Project MKUltra was real. The United States government did perform horrific experiments on its own citizens. And the trauma from that program, both documented and undocumented, continues to echo through generations. Dr. Engel's journey, whether it's a literal account or a powerful allegory, is a stark reminder of the human cost of unchecked power and the incredible resilience of the human spirit. It leaves us with a final lingering question. In the quest for truth, whose stories do we choose to believe, and what happens to the victims whose scars are designed to be invisible?